Emily Dawson was counting the cracks in the ceiling when the cell door opened. Not the usual mechanical grind of morning count. Not the breakfast call. This was different, quiet, deliberate, the kind of silence that meant someone wanted privacy for what came next. She didn't move from her bunk. Didn't sit up. Her eyes traced the 23rd crack, the one that split near the corner and spiderweb across the concrete like frozen lightning. 48 hours at Oakridge Women's Correctional, and she'd already memorized every imperfection in this 8x10 box. 3 shadows fell across her face. New girl doesn't stand when we enter? The voice belonged to someone used to being obeyed. Low, controlled, with an edge that suggested violence was always an option, never a surprise. Emily's fingers tightened on the thin mattress. The springs beneath her groaned. She could smell them now, cigarette smoke, industrial soap, something sharper underneath. Desperation maybe. Or rage that had nowhere left to go. I said stand up. The mattress was ripped away. Emily's body hit the concrete floor before her mind could catch up. Her shoulder took the impact, then her hip. The cold bit through her prison-issue scrubs like teeth. She rolled onto her back, staring up at 3 women who looked at her the way butchers looked at meat. The one in the middle had a scar running from her left ear to her collarbone. Thick, keloid, the kind that came from something jagged and rusty. Her name was Reeves. Emily had heard it whispered in the showers, spoken in the yard with the kind of reverence people reserved for natural disasters. You know who I am? Emily said nothing. Wrong answer. The kick came fast, Reeves' knee driving into Emily's face with the force of someone who'd done this before, who knew exactly how much pressure would break bone without causing the kind of damage that brought investigators. Pain exploded through Emily's nose. Blood poured down her throat, hot and copper-thick. Her vision went white, then red, then spotted with black stars that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. She didn't scream. That was important. She understood that much even through the agony. Screaming would make it worse. Screaming would tell them she was afraid. Next time, Reeves said, crouching beside Emily's broken face, you stand when I walk in. You understand? Emily's vision cleared enough to see Reeves' eyes. Cold. Flat. The eyes of someone who'd stopped seeing other people as human a long time ago. The cell door clanged shut. Emily lay on the concrete, blood pooling beneath her cheek, and counted her own heartbeat. 147 beats before she could breathe through her mouth without choking. 203 before she could sit up. No guard came. No alarm sounded. The cameras in the corner, she could see the red light blinking, captured everything and did nothing. Welcome to Oakridge. The infirmary nurse didn't ask questions. She pressed gauze to Emily's face, checked her pupils with a penlight that felt like a drill boring into her skull, and wrote something on a clipboard. Her badge said Morrison. She'd been doing this long enough that her hands moved with mechanical efficiency, no wasted motion, no unnecessary sympathy. Nose isn't broken, Morrison said. You're lucky. Lucky. Emily wanted to laugh, but her jaw wouldn't cooperate. You'll be cleared for general population by tomorrow. Morrison's voice dropped half an octave. But I'm going to keep you here tonight. Give things time to settle. Emily's eyes met the nurse's. Morrison knew. She understood exactly what had happened, why it happened, and how it would happen again if Emily didn't learn the rules fast enough. Who do I report it to? Emily's voice came out thick, slurred by swelling. Morrison's expression didn't change. Report what? The question hung in the air between them like smoke. That's what I thought, Emily said. Morrison packed up her supplies. There's a hierarchy here. Formal and informal. The formal one is what the warden sees during inspections. The informal one. She paused at the door. The informal one keeps this place from burning down. You'll figure out which one matters. The infirmary door locked behind her. Emily sat on the medical cot, a roll of gauze in her lap and blood drying on her neck, and understood her first real lesson. This prison had 2 sets of rules. One was written in the inmate handbook they'd given her during processing. The other was written in scars, silence, and the way women looked away when violence happened 3 feet from their faces. She'd already broken the second set of rules without knowing they existed. They moved her to a new cell the next morning. A guard with sergeant stripes and a face like weathered stone escorted her across C block. His name tag read Kowalski. He walked half a step ahead, never quite looking at her, his hand resting on his radio like a talisman. Your cellmate's name is Diaz, Kowalski said. She's been here 6 years. Keeps her head down. Smart. He stopped at cell C47. You should do the same. The door opened. Diaz was sitting on the lower bunk, reading a paperback with a broken spine. She looked up when Emily entered. Quick assessment, cataloging injuries, calculating threat level, then went back to her book. Emily climbed onto the upper bunk. Every movement sent fresh waves of pain through her skull. The mattress smelled like bleach and desperation. "Reeves?" Diaz asked without looking up. "How do you know?" "You're new, you're walking, and you look like you went through a meat grinder." "That's Reeves' signature." Diaz turned a page. Could have been worse. She must have been in a good mood. Emily pressed her palm against her swollen face. "This is a good mood? You're alive, aren't you?" The logic was airtight and horrifying. "Why me?" Emily asked. Diaz finally set down her book. She had the kind of face that had been pretty once before prison had worn it down to something harder and more angular. Tattoos covered her forearms, amateur work, the kind done with guitar strings and ink from ballpoint pens. "You didn't pay," Diaz said. "Pay what?" "Protection. Entry fee. Whatever you want to call it. Everyone pays Reeves when they come in. Commissary items, favors, information. You didn't know because nobody told you, and now she's made an example." Emily's stomach turned. "How was I supposed to?" "You weren't. That's the point." Diaz picked up her book again. "The system's designed to catch you in the gears. You either learn how it works fast or you get chewed up. Reeves doesn't care which." "And you?" Emily asked. "You paid. 6 years ago. Haven't had a problem since." The cell felt smaller than it had 2 minutes ago. Emily could hear everything: toilets flushing 3 cells down, someone crying softly in the distance, the endless metallic echo of doors opening and closing like the heartbeat of some massive, cold machine. "What did you do?" Diaz asked. "To end up here." Emily stared at the ceiling. 23 cracks just like the last cell. "Does it matter?" "No," Diaz admitted. "I guess it doesn't." Act 2, the hierarchy. Emily learned the real rules over the next 2 weeks. Rule 1, eyes down in the corridors. Making eye contact was a challenge, and challenges meant violence. Rule 2, your commissary belonged to whoever was strong enough to take it. The guards knew. The warden knew. No one cared. Rule 3, Reeves controlled C Block. Not officially. Officially, Warden Chin controlled Oakridge. But Chin was a bureaucrat who appeared for inspections and budget meetings. Reeves was the law that actually mattered. Rule 4, silence was survival. You saw nothing. You heard nothing. You remembered nothing. Emily watched and learned. She watched a woman named Torres get cornered in the showers for taking the wrong seat during rec time. 3 of Reeves' people held her down while a 4th shaved her head with a razor that left bloody tracks across her scalp. No guard intervened. She watched a thin girl named Kim hand over her entire commissary order: soap, toothpaste, instant coffee, everything, to Reeves' lieutenant, a woman called Vega who had teardrops tattooed under both eyes. No one said a word. She watched Diaz navigate the minefield with the precision of a combat veteran, knowing exactly when to speak, when to disappear, when to trade a chocolate bar for a moment of peace. And Emily said nothing. She kept her head down, followed the rules, became invisible. But invisibility required constant effort. The turning point came on a Tuesday. Emily was in the library, a converted storage room with 3 shelves of donated books and a broken copy machine, when she saw the girl. Couldn't have been more than 19. Fresh-faced in a way that meant she hadn't been inside long enough for prison to hollow her out. Her wristband was still bright orange, marking her as new intake. The girl was sitting at the single table, reading a legal manual, her lips moving silently as she traced the words with her finger. Vega walked in with 2 others. The girl didn't look up. Didn't see the danger until Vega was standing over her. "You're in my seat," Vega said. The girl blinked. "I didn't know." "Now you do." The girl stood. Started to walk away. But walking away wasn't enough. Emily could see it in Vega's posture, the slight tilt of her head, the way her fingers flexed. This wasn't about the seat. This was about the performance. The demonstration. Vega grabbed the girl's hair and slammed her face into the table. The crack was loud. Final. The girl crumpled to the floor, blood pouring from her mouth. A tooth skittered across the linoleum like a white pebble. Emily's hands clenched into fists. "Don't move," she told herself. "This isn't your fight. You can't help her. You can only get yourself killed." Vega and her crew walked out, laughing. The girl lay on the floor, sobbing. Emily waited until they were gone. Then she knelt beside the girl, helped her sit up, pressed a torn piece of her shirt against the bleeding. "Thank you," the girl whispered through broken lips. Emily didn't respond. She couldn't explain that mercy here was like throwing gasoline on a fire. It might help in the moment, but it always burned you later. Diaz was furious when Emily returned to the cell. You helped her. Not a question. An accusation. She was bleeding, Emily said. So? Diaz stood, her book forgotten. So were you 2 weeks ago? Did anyone help you? That's different. It's exactly the same. Diaz's voice rose, then dropped to a harsh whisper. You think Vega didn't see you? You think word won't get back to Reeves? You just painted a target on your back for nothing. For nothing? Emily felt something crack inside her, some carefully maintained wall. That girl is terrified. We're all terrified. That's the point. You keep your head down, you survive, and maybe you get out someday. But you start playing hero, you start thinking you can change things. Diaz shook her head. Then you're dead. Or worse. What's worse? Diaz looked at her with something like pity. You'll find out. Act 3, the price. Reeves came for Emily 3 days later. Not in her cell. Not in the yard. In the industrial laundry, where the noise of the machines drowned out everything, where the steam made it hard to see more than a few feet, where no cameras reached. Emily was folding sheets when she felt the temperature change. That prickle on the back of her neck that meant predators were close. She turned. Reeves stood 10 feet away, flanked by Vega and 2 others Emily didn't recognize. The machines roared around them like mechanical thunder. Heard you made a friend, Reeves said. Emily's throat went dry. I don't know what you're talking about. The girl in the library. Sweet little thing. First timer. Reeves smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Vega was teaching her the rules. You interfered. You made me look weak. 4 words. Delivered like a death sentence. Emily's mind raced. She could run. The laundry had 2 exits. But Vega was blocking one, and the others could cut her off before she reached the second. She could scream. But who would hear over the machines? Who would care? I didn't mean. I don't care what you meant. Reeves stepped closer. I care what you did. And what you did was show everyone in C Block that my rules don't matter. That they can help each other. That they can resist. The word resist came out like poison. So now I have to make another example, Reeves continued. And this time it's going to be permanent. Vega pulled something from her pocket. A shank, 3 inches of sharpened metal wrapped in electrical tape. Crude. Effective. The kind of weapon that had ended 100 prison conflicts before this one. Emily's survival instincts screamed at her to beg, to promise silence, to offer anything that would stop what came next. But something else rose up inside her. Something she'd been pushing down for weeks. She'd been silent long enough. Go ahead, Emily said quietly. Reeves paused. What? Do it. But know that I won't fight back. I won't scream. I won't give you the satisfaction. Emily's voice was steady now, certain. And tomorrow someone else will help someone else. Because they'll see what silence costs. For 3 seconds no one moved. Then Reeves laughed. A sound like breaking glass. You think you're brave? Reeves leaned in close. You think standing still makes you a martyr? No, Emily said. I think it makes me human. Something you forgot how to be. The punch came faster than thought. Reeves' fist driving into Emily's stomach, doubling her over. Then a knee to her face just like the first day. Then Vega joining in, and the others, fists and feet raining down until Emily's world became nothing but pain and the smell of industrial detergent. She didn't fight back. She curled into a ball, protected her head, and let them break her bones instead of her resolve. When they were finished, Reeves crouched beside Emily's broken body. You'll die here, she whispered. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, everyone does. Then they were gone. Emily lay on the concrete, blood pooling around her, and counted her heartbeats again. This time she made it to 3,000 before she could move. Act 4, the truth. The infirmary again. Morrison's hands again. But this time different questions. Who did this? Emily stared at the ceiling. 47 cracks. She'd counted them twice to make sure. Emily. Morrison's voice was sharp. I have to file a report. The warden is asking questions. This level of injury, I can't cover it up. I fell. Bullshit. Emily turned her head, wincing at the pain. Then don't ask questions you know I won't answer. Morrison sat back, frustration etched into every line of her face. You're going to get yourself killed. Probably. Then why? Why protect them? I'm not protecting them, Emily said. I'm protecting everyone else. Morrison didn't understand. Emily could see the confusion in her eyes. But it was true. If Emily named Reeves, there would be an investigation. Reeves would go to segregation for a while. And then she'd come back. Angrier. More violent. And she'd take it out on everyone Emily had tried to help. The system was designed to protect itself. Speaking out didn't end the violence. It just redirected it. But silence? Silence was its own kind of power. 3 weeks later, Emily returned to general population. Her ribs were taped. Her face was a landscape of bruises. She walked like every step might be her last. The girl from the library approached her in the yard. "Thank you," she said again. Emily shook her head. "Don't thank me. Just remember." "Remember what?" "That silence isn't weakness. It's strategy." The girl didn't understand. Not yet. But she would. 6 months passed. Emily learned to navigate the violence without becoming violent. She learned which battles to fight and which ones to lose. She learned that power in prison wasn't about who could hit hardest, it was about who could endure longest. Reeves still controlled C Block. But something had shifted. Women started helping each other. Quietly. Carefully. A shared commissary item here. A warning whisper there. Small acts of resistance that added up to something larger. Reeves noticed. But she couldn't stop it. Because stopping it would mean acknowledging that her power was slipping, and acknowledging weakness was the fastest way to lose everything. Emily's release date came on a Tuesday morning. Diaz walked her to processing. They didn't hug. Didn't exchange addresses. Both knew the truth. Prison friendships ended at the gate. "You changed things here," Diaz said. "No," Emily replied. "I just reminded people they were still human." Same thing. Maybe it was. Emily collected her belongings. A plastic bag containing the clothes she'd worn the day she arrived, $37 in cash, and a bus ticket to anywhere. The prison doors opened. She stepped into the sunlight and found the truth waiting for her. Warden Chin stood beside a black sedan. Beside her, 2 federal agents in crisp suits. Emily's stomach dropped. "Emily Dawson," Chin said. "These agents would like to speak with you." The taller agent stepped forward. "We've been monitoring Oakridge for 2 years. Corruption, abuse, systemic violence. But no one would testify. Every woman we approached said the same thing. I didn't see anything." The second agent opened a folder. "Except you. You documented everything." Emily's breath caught. The agent pulled out photographs. Security footage. Transcripts of conversations Emily had recorded using a device smaller than a button, sewn into her prison scrubs before she'd ever entered Oakridge. "You were never an inmate," Chin said quietly. "You were an investigator." The truth hung in the air like smoke. Emily had gone to prison voluntarily. Had taken the beating. Had endured the violence. All to gather evidence that could never be obtained from the outside. "Reeves and 14 others were arrested an hour ago," the first agent said. "Federal charges. They'll never see daylight again." Emily should have felt triumph. Relief. Something. Instead she felt empty. "What about the others?" she asked. "The women who are still inside?" "They'll be safe now," Chin promised. But Emily knew better. Remove one predator and another would rise. Change the faces and the system remained. Prison wasn't just a place. It was a machine that ground people down into silence and submission. She'd stopped Reeves. But she hadn't stopped prison. "What happens to me now?" Emily asked. "You go home," the agent said. "Your work here is done." Emily looked back at the prison. At the walls that had held her for 18 months. At the women still inside, still counting cracks in the ceiling, still learning how to survive. Her work wasn't done. It would never be done. But she'd given them something. Proof that silence could be weaponized. That endurance was resistance. That sometimes the only way to fight a system was from the inside, where no one expected a victim to be a witness. Emily got into the sedan. As they drove away, she counted her heartbeats. 3,412 before the prison disappeared from view. She wondered how many women inside were counting theirs.